Welcome to this lesson, an in-depth exploration of Jane Weir's Poppies. Today we will delve into Weir's linguistic choices and structural elements and how these amplify the poem's themes and messages. We'll begin with Weir's use of symbolism, particularly focusing on the poignant imagery of the poppy flower, then discuss her use of alliteration and how this emphasizes the intensity of the speaker's emotions. Next, we'll explore how Weir employs enjambment to create a sense of continuity and flow, and finally, consider the poem's free verse structure, which allows for expressive flexibility. Through this detailed analysis, we aim to uncover the emotional depth and complexity woven into Poppies. As a quick reminder, the relevant themes for this poem are war and conflict, memory and loss, and nature and the environment. Let's begin! The poem Poppies uses language rich in symbolism, particularly focusing on the poppy flower itself. Poppies traditionally symbolize remembrance and sacrifice, often associated with war and commemoration of fallen soldiers. This is evident in the quote, 3 days before Armistice Sunday and poppies had already been placed on individual war graves. Before you left, I pinned one onto your lapel. The poppy symbolizes remembrance and commemoration of those who have died in war. In this quote, the poppies on war graves signify a solemn tribute to fallen soldiers. The act of pinning a poppy onto the speaker's son's lapel takes on personal significance. It symbolizes a mother's love, concern, and hope for her son's safety as he goes off to war. The poppy becomes a tangible reminder of the speaker's emotions and anxieties, encapsulating both pride and fear. Throughout the poem, the poppy symbolizes the emotional journey of separation, longing, and eventual mourning experienced by those left behind during times of conflict. Another crucial point concerning the use of language in Poppies by Jane Weir is her effective use of alliteration to emphasize the poignant emotions of the speaker. We see this in the lines, I pinned one onto your lapel, crimped petals, spasms of paper red, disrupting a blockade of yellow bias binding around your blazer. The alliteration in spasms of paper red and blockade of yellow bias binding serves to heighten the sensory and emotional impact of these lines. The repetition of the initial B and P sounds captures the sharp, staccato rhythm that mirrors the speaker's emotional struggle. The alliterative choices create a sense of tension and disruption, reflecting the underlying anxiety and turmoil as the speaker prepares to send her son away. Additionally, phrases like crimped petals evoke delicate, fragile imagery, symbolizing both the beauty and vulnerability of life. This vivid use of alliteration allows readers to feel the intensity of the speaker's emotions, helping them connect with her sense of loss and the harsh reality of sending a loved one to war. These language choices deepen the emotional resonance of the poem, making the reader more attuned to the speaker's inner conflict and the painful nature of her sacrifice. Moving on to structure, Weir uses enjambment, which occurs when a sentence or phrase runs over multiple lines without a pause at the end of the line. This technique mimics the natural flow of thought and speech, allowing ideas to spill over from one line to the next as seen in the lines. All my words flattened, rolled, turned into felt, slowly melting. I was brave as I walked with you to the front door. Weir employs enjambment both within lines and between verses in this excerpt. For example, flattened, rolled, turned into felt spans multiple lines, maintaining a continuous flow of thought. Enjambment between verses extends this technique across stanza breaks, such as felt, slowly melting, where the thought carries over from the second to the third stanza. This dual use of enjambment creates a sense of fluidity and connectivity between ideas, enhancing the poem's narrative rhythm and the emotional resonance of the speaker's reflections. This technique not only enhances the poem's readability, but also deepens its emotional impact, inviting readers to follow the speaker's internal journey with empathy and understanding. The varied stanza lengths contribute significantly to the poem's emotional impact and thematic depth as it disrupts any sense of regularity or predictability, mirroring the speaker's fluctuating emotions. The poem consists of 4 stanzas, with the first and last stanzas being shorter and of the same length, while the middle 2 stanzas are significantly longer and roughly equal in length. This structural choice serves several purposes. The brevity or shortness of the first stanza introduces the reader to the poignant scene with a concentrated emotional impact, setting the tone of the mother's reflection as she prepares to say goodbye to her son. The succinct nature of this stanza captures the immediacy and intensity of the moment, drawing the reader into the mother's perspective. The second and third stanzas expand significantly, allowing for a more in-depth exploration of the mother's memories and emotions. These longer stanzas mirror the complexity and depth of her thoughts as she recalls various moments and experiences shared with her son. The extended length provides space for a more detailed and nuanced depiction of her internal landscape, emphasizing the weight of her grief and the breadth of her emotional journey. Finally, the return to a shorter stanza in the fourth segment creates a sense of closure and finality. This symmetry between the first and last stanzas underscores the cyclical nature of memory and loss, encapsulating the poem's themes within a balanced framework. The concise conclusion brings the reader back to the present moment, emphasizing the ongoing impact of the son's absence and the mother's enduring love and longing. Today we have discussed the poem Poppies and its use of language and structure to convey deep emotional themes. The poem employs the poppy flower as a powerful symbol of remembrance and sacrifice, highlighting the emotional journey of those left behind during times of conflict, as seen in the placement of poppies on war graves and a mother's act of pinning one on her son's lapel. Additionally, Jane Weir uses alliteration to emphasize the speaker's poignant emotions, with phrases like spasms of paper red and blockade of yellow bias binding, heightening the sensory and emotional impact, reflecting the speaker's anxiety and turmoil. We took a look at the poem's structure and how Weir's use of enjambment creates a sense of continuity and flow, mimicking natural thought and speech, enhancing the poem's narrative rhythm and emotional resonance, and inviting readers to follow the speaker's internal journey with empathy and understanding. Finally, we looked at the free verse structure of the poem and how its varied stanza lengths enhance its emotional impact and thematic depth, with the shorter first and last stanzas providing a concentrated emotional introduction and closure, and the longer middle stanzas allowing for a detailed exploration of the mother's memories and grief, emphasizing the cyclical nature of memory and loss. Watch the rest of the GCSE English Literature course at Sophos Education.